Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I'm ZB Zach Brown, and joining with me, as always, is former 410 Sprint Car crew chief and mechanic, my dad, Jeff Brown. We took a week off for Easter. Rockingham came back into NASCAR finally after 2 decades of being away from it. And the week before was Bristol, and pretty much a whole ass kicking the whole weekend except the truck race. It was nearly a weekend sweep, all three series from Kyle Larson at Bristol. Rockingham, a lot of crashes, a lot of fuel mileage situations there, but man, was that place packed on Saturday for the Xfinity race. That was awesome to see that.
Yeah, it's good to see them back at the Rock. All in all, it was a pretty good race. Good crowd. Like I said, the place holds, I don't know what holds 26,000 people, and that's a lot for an Xfinity race to come back to. So, hats off with them. I think it was a success, and I think we're going to see more of it. The Xfinity cars put on a pretty good show. They get Cup cars with this package. Makes me wonder. That just, Rockingham's like a mile or ish. I just don't know
Mile
how
and
they're going to
third
race
ish,
on it.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it
configured
kind of
way
races like a
different.
short track, and these cars just suck.
It's a unique configuration. It's kind of like an egg-shaped type track, but it's
Sort of.
the banking and is way different than like Darlington is.
Yeah.
You have to finesse your way. You can't run up against the wall or you'll crash. It's interesting how you want to get around that track. I'd like to see how the Cup Series could do it. Make Wilkesboro a points race, make that an all-star race.
You never
That way you
know.
can start testing it and just seeing if it works and just
Yeah.
bring it back for a couple years. And if it succeeds like Wilkesboro, and it's expected Wilkesboro should get a points race in the near future, I think that's a good way to get Rockingham back on the map. And they'll probably have to add a little bit more stands and like, expand the parking area for the Cup Series. But yeah, overall, I think it was a success. I thought there'd be bigger crowd for the truck race, but there wasn't. And uh, but Xfinity is packed. It was a
Yeah.
packed day, and it was Casey Kane's return back to NASCAR, first time in NASCAR in quite a while. I think in over a decade, maybe even more. That he was welcomed with open arms. A lot of people were really happy to see him. He had a good car. He had a fast car, and everybody wanted to crash in front of him. And he happened to be the innocent bystander that was getting caught up in the wrecks. One of the wrecks I want to mention because it's been bothering me that nobody really wanted to talk about is Catherine Legge's, or Catherine Legge, whatever you want to say, her wreck. Yeah, she got booted into the middle of the corner, but she was also going like 40 miles an hour slower than everybody. It was absolutely just pathetic. It was how she gets rides and drives around. That's just unsafe, first of all, and it's kind of embarrassing. She's not that great of a driver. She's never been really great in IndyCar, and she clearly is not good in NASCAR. She was like as soon as she's through the green, she wrecked in the Cup Series. This lasted like 20 laps, and she's got more. She's going to Talladega.
Oh,
That's gonna
jeez.
be that's yeah. Well, we'll have cautions at Talladega now.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen.
Well, it's the thing. Like she didn't even qualify her car, so she bought her way in to take JJ Yeley's seat. So she's never been in that car before, and she went into the corner and just panicked, slammed on the brakes, got rear-ended, got messed up with Casey Kane. NASCAR is so desperate to have a female driver. There got to be plenty of more experienced,
Yeah,
stock car female running than she is. That she's just horrible. I mean, that's just
it was definitely embarrassing. I mean, it's like, come on, I get how they want to have female, but there's younger women out there that are racing in late models and ARCA
right.
series, working their way through different series. Give them the opportunity. First of all, Catherine Lake's not even in her prime anymore for racing. Give the chance to all these younger drivers and then develop them. That's just that was my rant on that. I just wanted to get
Yeah.
that off my chest. But we'll flashback real quick. Touch on Bristol. The biggest surprise with Bristol that was the tire fall off was not nearly as close as was last spring, and basically worked to Kyle Larson's advantage. He had the fastest car, and he was able to run the living hell out of it
Yeah.
without worrying about the tires because he's not the best tire conserver ever.
Oh,
That would fall into Denny Hamlin. If the tires fell off more, Denny Hamlin probably would have won that race. He had a fast car. He was conserving tires throughout that thing. but it worked in Larson's favor, and he just got a knack for getting around Bristol, and it really works into his aggressive nature and aggressive driving style, and it helps that he's got one of the best crew chiefs and crews in there, and they were lights out all day. Unlike certain other drivers had some issues on pit road, costed them lots of positions, but solid run from Larson. He's starting to make his way back. Probably at the top of the power rankings. If we do one, we'll do one in a couple weeks on power rankings. It's a good thing he got another win because this week probably not going to be good for him.
Yeah, just a preview. He is not in my fantasy.
No, I'll save him for other tracks.
But
And
yeah, like you said, Larson's a stomp and steer driver. So, he's just, if you don't know what that means, watch Days of Thunder. It's cold trickle where he's just out running the tires and everything else. I mean, not quite that bad, but, that was just brutal. At one point, I don't know what he had, a 6-second lead at one point. Now at the end, it got a little closer.
it was.
He was so dominant. I don't think they quite kept up with the racetrack changing as much as some of the other guys that really had to make some swings to catch up. So they were a little closer at the end. But if you were not a Kyle Larson fan, that race sucked. These cars just do not put on a good show on a short track. They have to get more horsepower under those things to make them
especially at Bristol. Especially at Bristol.
Yeah.
That desperately needs to have something reworked.
Well, I was going to say the Xfinity race was better, but he pretty much stunk that up. And
that was an ass kicking of epic proportions there.
Other than him, the racing was pretty good in Xfinity.
yeah, and the racing overall in Xfinity has been pretty decent this year. Every single race this year has had at least 1 million viewers. I saw that stat earlier.
Oh, good.
So a couple other things in NASCAR to bring in news, and then we'll get into previewing Talladega, and then we'll touch on NHRA this week. And we do have something to talk about with sprint cars about the 69K coming up here in a couple weeks. The big news out of NASCAR is now they released the nominees for next year's Hall of Fame class. So there's a lot of returning nominations, but here the modern era ballot is the nominations are Greg Biffle, Neil Bonnet, Tim Brewer, Jeff Burton, Kurt Busch. That's the first time he's been on. Randy Dorton, Harry Gant, Harry Hyde, Randy LaJoie. That's the first time he's on, and Jack Sprague. Pioneer ballot is Jake Elder, first time he's been nominated. Ray Hendrick, Banjo Matthews, Larry Phillips, Bob Wellborn, and Landmark is Alvin Hawkins, Les Richter, Les Kennedy, Humpy Wheeler. That's first time Humpy's on, and Dr. Joe Mattioli. So the Landmark stuff, I know one. Here's who I think should be getting, because I think they take one of each, if I'm not mistaken. I think they do one modern, one pioneer, one landmark. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Out of all of the modern era, I think at this point, you've probably got to give it to Harry Gant. He's been on a couple times. He's had a solid career. You can also make the argument for Kurt Busch. He's won a championship.
Yeah,
championship.
That's the biggest difference between the two, for sure.
Yeah, and Greg Biffle, I don't think he needs to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't think he was a Hall of Fame driver. Great racer. Loved watching Biffle. Commercials were fantastic, but I don't think he should be in the Hall of Fame at the very least now. And
yeah, I actually think Jack Sprague's got a really good shot. Three-time Truck Series champion. I'd say that
was his series for a long time. He's
run a long time. Now Randy Dorton, that's engine builder guy. Gotta like Randy Dorton.
Neil Bonnet's got a good argument too.
Yeah, it's one of them. He hasn't. I know not having a championship means anything. Humpy Wheeler should probably get in.
Oh, Humpy Wheeler, I think that should be a first ballot landmark.
Some of the other ones, I don't know who they are.
No, but what Humpy was able to do specifically with Charlotte Motor Speedway and just have a whole next level of entertainment for pre-race, days before races, leading up to the race, and just having
nobody
excitement.
does any of that anymore.
Yeah, it was really awesome. If anybody wants to go check all that out, because if you see some highlights back in 2000, like the
they had
mid
the
2000s up to like 2015-ish, the pre-race stuff was phenomenal at Charlotte, especially the Memorial Day weekend. They would bring the Blackhawks in.
they
They
had the
would
Blackhawks
parachute. Yeah,
explosions and the Transformer eating the junk cars, and
yeah, it was pretty cool.
yeah, they had some cool stuff.
And Pioneer Ballot, if I had a guess, it's probably going to be Ray Hendrick goes in. I don't really know a lot of the. Jake Elder's a
Yeah.
new one that's on there.
Harry Hyde.
Is Ray Hendrick Rick Hendrick's brother?
I do not know. Jake Elder, they call him Suitcase Jake because he only stayed with teams. He's got a pretty good shot. Mine's not divided up like yours is, so I'm not sure who.
I just took a picture from the Instagram account on NASCAR. But yeah, that's the ballot. I think you have to, if you don't have a championship, you have to have a solid amount of wins, probably at least 30 wins to at least be considered for it.
Or at least some kind of a pioneer in the sport, because like Junior did so much for bringing in
Exactly
in fans and things like that.
Well, and Junior also was Xfinity champion, a two-time
does so
Xfinity
much
champion.
Away from the track now. Does that count? Like he really helped the hurricane flood victims there in North Carolina by flying his helicopter and bringing supplies. I don't know if that should not really.
Well, they should have some sort of NASCAR like Samaritan award or
For
something.
Sure. I mean, if they count that, and yeah, he's got a good shot going in. So it's interesting to see. Kurt Busch really hasn't officially retired from racing yet, so.
Yeah, but he's
cleared
eligible because he just hasn't. Yeah, because he hasn't raced in that. So, all right. Well, and what was the other? I was gonna say something else, but I probably forgot it. Must not have been that important about NASCAR this week. But let's get into Talladega. We enjoyed this a lot going there. This felt and it still does still feels like an old school environment when you go there. They have the big rig with American flag for the pre-race, and they play Sweet Home Alabama 775,000 times. And
especially if it's a rain delay.
Yeah, and a bunch of drunk rednecks are all around there, and it's great. It's the middle of nowhere in Alabama, right down the road from the Talladega dirt track, which actually puts on pretty good shows. Recently, a couple months ago. And this package is not the best on super speedways, but if it's Daytona or Talladega generally does better with it. Xfinity and trucks, they do better on this. I think it's just Xfinity this weekend. I'm not sure. I didn't look at the schedule. Well, if I'm on NASCAR.com right now, it would help if I just looked at it. But the Cup Series, it's hit or miss. The cautions are up in the air. Are they going to wreck Catherine Legg? So probably. And I'll just exit out of this. They got to improve the short track, and they've really got to figure out how to. And I don't think it's the package itself for Talladega. It's just the way they space out the stages and how because it's all fuel conservation that they do. Xfinity, they don't really have time, and Xfinity they don't really have. Okay, Xfinity is there, and trucks are off, so Xfinity and Cup. Xfinity is going to put on a better race because they don't have enough time to really do a bunch of fuel mileage at Talladega. It happens quick, and they're going to wreck. I think you will see some wrecks at Talladega. I think you'll see more than you're used to. I think you will actually see some more aggressive driving than traditional. I think a fourth stage on these super speedways would help tremendously, though.
Yeah, you don't want them running around there for 80 laps at half throttle just to make the fuel stop. I mean, I said have random where you don't know when the fuel stop's going to be. Either that or get rid of the stages. Then you pretty much got to run hard the whole time, in my opinion. But but it's just it's probably better than the short track package. Because when they get racing, it's actually pretty good racing. When they're just following the leader for 2 hours, it's boring as hell.
Yeah, and one thing we've seen with the speedway racing is that Chevys don't work well at all. Fords
Yeah.
are probably going to work really well together. They'd always do. It doesn't mean a Chevy's not going to win. They just don't work well with other
Yeah,
Chevys.
it's like they will. I mean, just take Hendrick teammates. They will bail on each other to go help a Ford just to hold the lead for an extra lap or whatever. I really find it hard to believe they have not complained about how their the manufacturer's not working. Ford, it don't matter. It's a Ford. They're going to work with you. They don't care who it is.
Yeah,
So
I'm surprised Chevy hasn't really said something, but it's hard to really complain when they are back-to-back Daytona 500 champions.
yeah, I
So
mean, there's you get to the last 20 laps. I mean, anything goes then, but
yeah,
just
I don't know. They'll pit together, but they as soon as they get back out, they spread out again. They never really stay in line. Um, I mean, I'm okay with that, but only if all the manufacturers separated and you kind of had everybody for a free for all. But when Fords work together, they're designed to work together, and they will do
yeah.
better. I want to do a quick little game. First of all, question, and you probably easily know the answer because it's an easy question. Who has the most wins NASCAR all time, the Cup Series at Talladega?
Dale Earnhardt.
Yeah, shocker. How
Yeah,
many
but
wins is
Brad Keselowski is very close. He's only like
No,
one, huh?
eh, not that close. How many wins does Dale have?
In just Cup,
Yeah,
9 or 10, I think.
10. Well, then Brad's tied for second with Junior and Gordon
Okay.
at 6.
Oh, okay. I was thinking Brad had like 8.
Well, I want to do a quick game. Basically, a would you rather for Talladega edition. Would you rather have this driver in their prime or this driver in their prime for Talladega? We're not going to use Dale Earnhardt because we know the answer. That's going to be Dale for every single one. And it's from all the eras just when they were in their prime. Davey Allison or David Pearson?
At Talladega, Davey Allison. We were
Cale
talking Darlington.
Yarborough, Cale Yarborough, or Bobby Allison?
Oh wow. You know what? I was always a big Cale Yarborough fan. I got to go with him.
Buddy Baker or Darrell Waltrip?
I'm going to say Buddy. I don't think Waltrip was a great super speedway racer.
He had 4 wins at Talladega, but uh, it doesn't have a lot of wins here. It's surprising is Richard Petty. His is all at Daytona, where they.
Oh, that is interesting.
Uh, now we're kind of going to more of a modern thing. Dale Jr. or Jeff Gordon?
Gordon.
Brad Keselowski or Jeff Gordon?
Wow. Gordon. It's hard to just
All right. Well, now we're getting to the nitty gritty. Gordon or Bobby Allison?
Gordon.
Gordon or Davey?
Gordon.
Ryan Blaney or Joey Logano?
Oh, that was tough. I'm gonna go with Joey.
The most recent success has been
Although
Blaney, but
Ryan Blaney's won 2 of the last 4 or 5 races there.
he has 3 total wins there. So does Joey. They're tied with 3 wins for, I guess it's 4th all time. There's a bunch of them that are tied. All right. Dale Jr. or Brad Keselowski?
I'll go with Junior.
When Junior's prime was hard to really beat, especially the DEI cars. They were a next level.
Especially in the 8 car when everybody built their own engines. That thing was just a rocket ship on the super speedways.
All right. Well, this is for all the marbles. Jeff Gordon or Dale Earnhardt?
Oh, you gotta go with Dale.
Although Jeff,
I'd lose my man card if I picked Gordon on that one.
Well, Gordon, if they didn't have years of the tandem driving at Talladega, Gordon likely would have more wins on this all time.
Probably.
Because it was just nobody knew how all that crap was. That was
the dumbest damn
We
stuff.
complain now about Talladega, but that was really bad back then.
Yeah.
That was stupid. Even though that's how Keselowski got his first win all time. So let's give our NASCAR fantasy for Talladega this week. I'll go ahead and we'll start off our post-Easter break
Okay.
with me going first, and I'm also last in fantasy, so I think it's only right the worst goes first. So for my starting lineup, there's kind of a theme here. We talked about Fords will probably do really well working together, and I'm already going to say I have a lot of Fords working here. I'm not saying a Ford
You're never
necessarily
going to
is
have the
going to.
same lineup, right?
Probably not because I trying to use different ones and not the same ones at all. Who are you picking? You got a ball? Okay, hold on. All right, so my starters this week are Josh Berry, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, Austin Cindric, Bubba Wallace, hometown. That's the only Toyota I have in there. And in my garage, I have Michael McDowell.
Okay. We're very close, though.
And in the featured matchups, it's Alex Bowman versus Austin Cindric. I've got Austin Cindric. Kyle Larson versus Chastain. We all know we're not going to pick Larson in any of this. So Chastain over Larson. Joey Logano versus Kyle Busch. Have Joey Logano on there. And Noah Gragson versus Austin Dillon. Everybody wants you to pick Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon's the favorites, the 3 at Talladega. Everybody wants you to say that. I picked Noah Gragson on this. I don't know. I got a weird feeling on it.
Okay.
So go ahead with your lineup before she loses her mind.
So I have my starters. I have Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Josh Berry, Brad Keselowski, Alex Bowman, and in my garage, I have Bubba Wallace. So our matchups, I have Alex Bowman over Austin Cindric, Ross Chastain over Kyle Larson, Joey Logano over Kyle Busch, and I have Austin Dillon over Noah Gragson. Hi, Princess.
All right, the good picks this week are Ryan Blaney. We discussed him. William Byron's a good pick. I mean, that's 24
Hey,
at
avoid Kyle
Talladega.
Larson. There's the shocker.
Yeah, it says avoid him. Yeah. And now they say avoid him, and we never picked him. He's probably gonna win if that's what it takes, though. It says avoid Joey Logano, and I don't really agree with that because Joey's pretty good at Talladega, and it's Talladega. It's a crapshoot, really.
If you don't crash, you're probably going to get a top 10.
Yeah, and the sleeper's Ricky Stenhouse, which he's really good at these tracks.
I don't disagree with that one at all. And I don't know if I'd even call that a sleeper. He's a pretty good restrictor plate racer. He's very aggressive. He might cause a couple crashes.
Yeah. Well, let's get into NHRA to preview this week, and then we'll talk about the news in the 69K camp and sprint car action, and a little bit about what we saw at Knoxville this week. Maybe it's a preview, possibly, of Knoxville, the Knoxville Nationals. So NHRA is at the 4-Wide Nationals in Charlotte this week, the original 4-Wide Nationals, and the most recent winner, Top Fuel, finally got it.
Yeah,
Tony Stewart got his win, and you got that pick right. You were like, let me just go out on a limb and do it, and dang if he didn't. And it was good. He was consistent the entire day.
The whole day. Good reaction times and everything.
And the 4-Wide's not easy to win. You're competing literally against 3 others, and it's trickier probably for the crews more than anything to get that done right. But I think he's gonna. Now he's got that first one. I think you'll see him get some more wins.
I agree.
And maybe this week, maybe makes it back to back. We will see. Basically, let's give your insight of what you will see, like a difference you'll see between Las Vegas's 4-Wide and then Charlotte's 4-Wide.
Being the Charlotte 4-Wide's the original one, the track's a little more seasoned, which as good as a job they do on that, I don't know if it makes that much difference. The biggest difference is going to probably be the air. Charlotte's actually, and I would have had this wrong, Charlotte's actually quite a bit lower in altitude than Las Vegas. So the density altitude, so the air, although it's going to be pretty hot, depending on track temperatures, you could see some really quick times. If it gets too hot, we were there one time when it was just too hot, and the nitro cars just could not go down the track. So, but Tony Stewart said the 4-Wides fit him a little better. He says it's more like short track racing where you got more cars at the same time, like so maybe it's but good for Tony. I mean, they were really excited. He said they were going to be hurting the next morning. So,
Yeah. Well, the temperature this week's is mid to upper 70s. Yesterday
oh,
was
that's
the
going to be
hot, or the
perfect.
other day was the hottest day. It was close to 90, but it's cooling down. We're gonna have some rain this week, so the track will be nice and green. There's a lot of different series that are going to be there. That's what's going to be the difference from this one. The motorcycles will be there, so there'll be more rubber on the track, but they do a good job of keeping up with the track, anyways. And
Yeah,
uh,
the sportsman cars, I don't think they run 4 wide. I think they only go 2 on
they
most.
usually do too. Yeah, they'll just do that. So
I think till you
uh,
get the alcohol cars might run 4.
all right, well, let's give our picks before someone gets too impatient right here for the four wide at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So I'm going to go ahead and give mine. So it's 4 different series that are here. They're all here. They're all here. And Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Stocks, and Pro Stock Motorcycles. Pro Stock Motorcycles, do we really need to argue about this one too much? I'm going to go Gage Herrera.
I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna pick Gianna.
Okay, awesome.
Gianna Evaristo. Yeah,
Okay, that's
that's one
awesome.
of the. You know what? Them. That's you only got to get second the whole time through till you get to the final round. I'm gonna give her a good shot.
I've never seen anybody so impatient. That's it.
Who's your pick, little one?
This is impossible. Oh gosh. All
Oh,
right,
get the
and
highest
so
rated video
for
because we got a cute little girl in the video.
the pro stocks, I picked Greg Anderson last time for the four wide just based on experience. I'm gonna go with a little bit different here. I'm going Dallas Glenn on this one.
I think going to take Mooresville native Greg Anderson on that one.
Okay.
Hendricks right there. Got to go for it.
Well, your drags have been way better than my picks. Funny Car. I think you got both your nitros right last time, and Austin Prock got back in the win column. I'm not going with him. I'm going to stick with the guy. I think he's got to get a big time win coming up. I'm going Matt Hagan.
Okay, yeah, he's about due for one. I'm going to sort of keep it in the HendrickCars.com whole stable there. So I got Jack Beckman for Funny
All right,
Car.
Fast Jack.
Fast
And in the
Jack.
four wide and Top Fuel. I'm going to go with the fan favorite on this one. I'm going Antron Brown for the four wide at Charlotte.
You know what? I was originally going to pick Tony to go back to back, but you know what? We're going to keep it in the family. We're going to have sisters winning Pro Stock Motorcycle and Top Fuel
Oh,
with Jasmine Salinas winning Top Fuel.
that would be that'd be a fun
These are bold
celebration.
predictions for me this week, just to be fun.
Well, you kind of went on a limb with Tony winning, and you got it right. So it wouldn't surprise me. Your Top Fuel picks have been really good this year. Mine sucked.
It seems the 4 wide can really shake things up. Like I said, just because you have one less round, and in the first 2 rounds you only have to get second, makes a big difference.
Yep. All right. Well, real quick to recap and kind of talk about sprint car action. The Outlaws just raced at Knoxville for a kind of their Easter weekend tradition. Their Easter weekend tradition. Larson, if he had one more lap, would have won that race. Rico Abreu was those 2 cars were able to run the bottom like nobody else. When I mean the bottom, they were underneath. They were
up on the curb on the inside berm.
And they stuck and they hooked up. I'm like, I've never
they never
seen
back
that.
off. It's just unreal how they get around there like that.
Yeah, it was like it's like when you hit a giant speed bump, but you're doing it at 100 miles an hour and into a curve. Like that seems safe.
Yeah, and Larson started 9th.
And he was kind of stuck around 6th or 5th until about lap 15, and then
had
it just
a couple of restarts,
off.
And it just he's really good there.
And expect him to be in contention again for the Knoxville Nationals. Some people just have a knack for that track, which will be there in about a month. Not the Nationals, but just Knoxville Speedway, and be able to see the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame, and then Davies induction. Speaking kind of our family things, the 69K announced that Christopher Bell is going to hop back behind the wheel again. It's one of the tracks in Texas, while NASCAR's at Texas here next weekend. So it's coming up. And clearly Christopher Bell enjoys working with the 69K team. And I mean, I know the feeling's mutual because Christopher's not too shabby.
No, good racer. So he's running. It's a weird thing. I think he's running 2 shows. It's like a Tuesday and a Thursday show or something like that. And then Darren Pittman's going to run it Friday or Saturday.
I think Darren's running. I think it's at Texas Motor Speedway.
Yeah,
The
I
dirt
forget
track.
I forget what the schedule was, but it's good to see Christopher Bell getting a couple more. It did seem to I don't know if I actually saw an official announcement, but it does not look like the 69K will be running the Knoxville Nationals this year. Darren Pittman got a different ride for the Knoxville National, so good luck to him. It's pretty expensive to tow out there and the whole deal. So, but maybe behind the scenes, Christopher Bell can run the Knoxville Nationals in the 69K.
That would be cool. Christopher wants to win that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's every racer's, specifically dirt racers, but really any racers. It's one of the crown jewels of all of racing.
Yeah, because he's won the Chili Bowl.
Yeah. So if this goes well this weekend, I mean, Christopher might be able to help put the bill, some sponsorship for Knoxville Nationals,
you
get the
never know.
69K team. It wouldn't surprise me. And maybe that, or maybe get him out for the Kings Royal in Eldora. That could be a possibility. That could also happen too. So I guess we'll see. There might be a lot of behind the scenes stuff that's happening. I'm curious to see. Well, maybe when we talk to Pop here in about a month. He might know something about it. So talk to him,
Yeah.
see what he might know. But yeah, that really does it for this week. So make sure you guys check our fantasy, not mine, and follow it, tail it if you want to. Talladega is tricky it's luck on both ends with fantasy and in the actual race. So it's luck of the draw. And maybe next week we won't have as many interruptions with the little one. And
that makes it more fun.
All right. Well, make sure you Okay, sorry. Make sure you like, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow all of that. Follow all social media, and make sure if you or anybody that knows been associated with my uncle Davey for the Hall of Fame coming up next month. Love to have you on the show. Talk about your experience with him and kind of compile something for a special.
I know there's a bunch of people that work with him. I'm really surprised nobody's. A lot of people are camera shy and don't want to come on.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't have social media too, so hopefully maybe when people listen to stuff on that Apple Pods, they'll hear that too. So we'll see everybody next week, and we'll be on a different recording platform because Skype's going away, so we'll be on something else. Yep. All right, we'll see you guys then.
All righty, bye.